The transmission came at 3:47 UTC on a Tuesday. Dr. Maya Okafor, night shift supervisor at Europa's Deep Space Monitoring Array, nearly missed it. A signal so perfectly modulated it initially registered as equipment calibration. Only when the translation matrices began autonomously reconfiguring did she realize. This was no human transmission. "Get me Commander Reyes," she whispered to her AI assistant. Priority Alpha. Across the solar system, Commander Elena Reyes was already awake, reviewing tactical simulations for the Mars peacekeeping operation. At 43, her olive skin was creased at the eyes, the result of 15 years squinting through combat visors and diplomatic negotiations alike. The holographic notification pulsed red at the edge of her vision. "Reyes," she answered, expecting another colonial dispute. Instead, she heard the 6 words that would end humanity's cosmic solitude forever. "Commander, we are not alone anymore." 72 hours later, Elena stood on the observation deck of Orbital Defense Platform Sierra, watching as reality itself seemed to bend. The void 30 kilometers above Earth rippled like disturbed water, and then they were simply there. 7 vessels of impossible crystalline architecture, their surfaces catching sunlight in ways that hurt human eyes. Magnificent, breathed UN Secretary General Okonkwo beside her. And terrifying. Both, Elena agreed, her military instincts cataloging weapon emplacements that resembled delicate spires and propulsion systems disguised as artistic flourishes. These beings built beauty that killed, a concept humanity understood all too well. The diplomatic team assembled hastily. Linguists, xenobiologists, cultural experts, and military advisors, with Elena appointed as lead negotiator due to her unique resume. She brokered peace with Martian separatists while simultaneously planning the campaign that crushed their extremist faction. The aliens would face humanity's perfect paradox: compassion and ferocity in a single representative. The journey to the flagship came via a transport beam that felt like being unmade and reassembled, a sensation Elena noted as both technology demonstration and subtle intimidation. The consortium reception chamber defied human architecture. Walls curved in geometries that suggested additional spatial dimensions. Gravity shifted subtly between steps, and ambient light seemed to emanate from nowhere and everywhere. Ambassador Xorak unfolded from what Elena had thought was decorative furniture, a being of chitinous segments and distributed sensory clusters. When it spoke, the sound bypassed her ears entirely, manifesting directly as understood meaning. "Welcome, Commander Reyes. You represent Earth adequately. Your psychological profile suggests pragmatism tempered with irrational hope, typical of your species." Elena suppressed her instinctive offense. "We come seeking understanding and peaceful exchange, as do all species when first encountered." Xorak responded, multiple limbs moving in precise patterns that auxiliary beings recorded. "Yet your archived communications reveal 17 active military conflicts on your world while developing nuclear capabilities. Fascinating." A holographic display materialized, showing Earth's history of warfare in brutal time-lapse. Ancient battles flowing into modern conflicts, casualty numbers scrolling alongside tactical analyses. "Your kind kills with exceptional creativity." Xorak continued, sensory clusters pulsing with what might have been admiration. "Most species optimize efficiency. Humans optimize suffering beforehand, and resilience afterward. This requires special consideration." Elena recognized the diplomatic abyss opening before her. "We've evolved beyond many of these conflicts." "Have you?" Xorak extended a limb, revealing a miniature Earth rotating above it. "Your tensions remain. Your weapons improve. You lack only targets beyond your biosphere." The implication hung in the recycled air between species meeting for the first time. Humanity was being judged as a potential threat rather than welcomed as a new civilization. And somewhere beneath Ambassador Xorak's diplomatic veneer, Elena detected something unexpected in an allegedly superior species. Fear. Dr. Sanjay Patel didn't trust gifts, especially those wrapped in alien technology. From his laboratory beneath MIT's Quantum Research Center, he methodically disassembled another consortium, Medical Miracle, a cell regenerator supposedly designed to cure human cancers. Its inner workings defied conventional physics, utilizing what the aliens called probability manipulation to restore damaged DNA. But something about its power signature troubled him. "There," he muttered, isolating a submolecular transmitter nestled between healing components. "Another one." His lab assistant, Minji, looked up from her workstation. "Surveillance." "Worse," Sanjay replied, his dark eyes reflecting holographic data streams. "It's collecting genetic samples from every patient, specific sequences related to stress responses and neurological adaptation." This marked the 12th gift containing hidden surveillance technology, each one more sophisticated than the last. The pattern was clear. The consortium wasn't sharing technology. They were conducting research, treating humanity like lab specimens. 3 days later, Sanjay stood before the Tokyo Embassy's security gate, his credentials identifying him as Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka, visiting biophysicist. The falsified identity had cost the resistance dearly. Manufactured using a consortium ID fabricator stolen during a raid in Singapore that had left 3 operatives dead. "Purpose of visit?" asked the human receptionist, one of many collaborators who viewed the aliens as saviors rather than invaders. Sanjay smiled pleasantly. "Consultation on quantum entanglement applications in neural medicine." The carefully crafted response contained precisely the right keywords to grant access to the embassy's research levels. The embassy's public areas gleamed with showcased alien technology and cultural exhibits, a facade of benevolent exchange. But as Sanjay descended to the lower levels, the aesthetic shifted. Clinical, utilitarian. True. Using maintenance access codes provided by a sympathetic embassy janitor, he bypassed standard elevators for service corridors where alien oversight was minimal. The risk was enormous. Detection meant certain death, but Elena needed concrete evidence of the consortium's true intentions. Level Sub-7 required a tense 15 minutes hiding inside a waste disposal unit as patrol drones passed. When he finally reached the unmarked laboratory section, what he saw confirmed their worst fears. Holographic displays filled the cavernous chamber, each showing different aspects of humanity under study. Military tactics throughout history, psychological stress tests measuring breaking points of human subjects, genetic samples from millions cataloged by adaptability markers. Most disturbing was a central projection, Earth's continents reimagined as extraction nodes, human population centers relocated around mining installations. Resource optimization model complete, announced an automated voice. Human labor efficiency increases 43% under proposed distribution. Sanjay activated the quantum transmitter disguised as his ocular implant, recording everything. As he documented the chamber, movement in an adjacent room caught his attention. Through the transparency of the interior walls, he witnessed Ambassador Xorik meeting with what appeared to be military commanders. "The humans remain unaware," Xorik was saying, manipulator limbs gesturing at Earth's hologram. "Preliminary resource extraction can begin within 6 monthly cycles, using their own labor. By the time they comprehend their true status, resistance will be futile." A spider-like Trilaxian scientist raised an appendage. The adaptability factor remains concerning. Their cognitive insurgency potential exceeds previous Category 3 species by 78%, which is precisely why we study them before full implementation. Xorik responded. Their propensity for what they call guerrilla tactics requires countermeasures. Sanjay had seen enough. As he retreated toward the maintenance shaft, an alert sounded, the unmistakable rhythm of a security breach detection. His heart pounded as he transmitted a final message to Elena's secure channel. Confirmed. Not partners. Livestock. Appalachian Bunker Delta wasn't on any map. Carved into ancient limestone 2 kilometers beneath the mountain's surface, its existence remained classified even before the consortium's arrival. Now, it served as humanity's last hope. Elena studied the faces around the worn conference table, 12 individuals representing Earth's nascent resistance. Colonel Marcus Chen sat opposite her, his unassuming appearance belying his history. Before the alien arrival, he'd been teaching military history at West Point, his previous identity as Special Forces Command's most decorated strategist buried under falsified retirement papers. "We can't match their technology," he stated, voice soft yet carrying absolute authority. "So we don't try." He activated the table's projection system, analog technology too primitive for consortium monitoring. Blueprints of alien communication networks appeared, annotated in Dr. Patel's precise handwriting. "Sanjay's discovery changes everything," Elena said. "The consortium's quantum communication system is based on predictable mathematical patterns," Dr. Patel finished, still bearing facial burns from his narrow escape from Tokyo. "Their entire encryption relies on perfect sequence prediction. They've never needed true randomness because no species has successfully hacked them before." Chen smiled thinly. "They've never met humans." The resistance had grown exponentially since Sanjay's escape. When Elena shared his findings with trusted government officials, most dismissed it as fear-mongering. But others, military leaders, scientists, intelligence operatives, recognized the existential threat. They disappeared from official positions, bringing critical skills underground. "We've established cells in 27 countries," reported Fatima al-Zahawi, former head of Interpol's cyber division. "Communication uses pre-digital methods, paper messages, shortwave radio, even Morse code. Nothing they can monitor. Our first objective must be to expose the truth," Elena said. "The consortium maintains control through the illusion of benevolence." Chen nodded. "Operation Jericho. Simultaneous disruption of their global broadcast next week." The plan was audacious. Hijack the consortium's mandatory neural broadcast, their monthly display of technological achievements designed to reinforce human dependence. Dr. Patel had developed a distributed algorithm that could momentarily override their signal using their own network architecture against them. 3 days before implementation, disaster struck. A resistance cell in Bangkok was discovered, its members publicly executed as terrorists. Consortium security protocols tightened worldwide. "We should postpone," urged Hiroshi Tanaka, their logistics coordinator. Elena shook her head. "No, they're expecting that. We accelerate instead." Operation Jericho launched 12 hours later. As billions of humans received their expected neural broadcast of consortium propaganda, the signal flickered. For 90 seconds, every viewer instead saw documented evidence of extraction plans, population redistribution models, and surveillance operations. The broadcast concluded with an ancient symbol, a coiled serpent above the words, "Don't tread on me." The consortium's response was immediate and brutal. Mechanized enforcers deployed in major cities, disappearing vocal critics and establishing curfews. Ambassador Xarak dismissed the broadcast as terrorist disinformation, while announcing enhanced security measures for human protection. In Rio de Janeiro, the breaking point came unexpectedly. When enforcers attempted to arrest 12-year-old Maria Suarez for spray painting "Earth First" on an embassy wall, her neighbors intervened. Within minutes, the confrontation escalated as hundreds of civilians surrounded the enforcers. The aliens, programmed for immediate threat neutralization rather than crowd psychology, opened fire. 87 humans died in 3 minutes. By nightfall, riots erupted in 12 cities. The consortium had made a critical error. They understood human biology, but not human spirit. Their algorithms failed to predict that witnessing the death of a child would trigger not submission, but fury. As flames illuminated Rio's skyline, Elena received a quantum-encrypted message from an unknown source. "Others have fought. Others have failed. we watch with hope. 1 year after first contact, Ambassador Xorak addressed Earth's population through mandatory neural broadcast. The message bypassed all communication devices, transmitting directly into human minds. A demonstration of consortium dominance disguised as convenience. People of Earth, the aliens' thoughts intruded into billions of consciousness simultaneously. Your resistance activities have demonstrated concerning behavioral patterns. The Galactic Consortium has revised its assessment. Elena watched from the Resistance Command Center, surrounded by leadership. On screen, biometric monitors showed humanity's collective heart rate elevating as Xorak continued. Effective immediately, Earth will provide 40% of all rare mineral resources to consortium development projects. Human population centers will be redistributed for optimal resource proximity. All military capabilities will submit to consortium oversight. Murmurs filled the command center as the terms scrolled across neural pathways. In exchange, Xorak continued, humans will receive limited interstellar travel privileges and protection from greater galactic threats. Resistance to these terms is illogical and will result in corrective measures. The broadcast concluded with a planetary deadline, 7 Earth days to formalize submission. Within hours, the United World Council convened an emergency session. Elena attended under diplomatic protection, observing as humanity fractured. African and South American representatives demanded immediate resistance. European and North American delegates advocated for strategic compliance, while secretly developing countermeasures. East Asian coalitions calculated casualty projections for various scenarios. We cannot win conventionally, stated the Chinese premier. Their technological advantage is insurmountable. We cannot surrender, countered Nigeria's president. These terms describe slavery, not partnership. Elena approached the podium, her presence silencing the chamber. I request authorization to negotiate a 7-day deliberation extension. Our apparent indecision will confuse their predictive models while we prepare our actual response. The council approved her proposal by narrow margin. 3 hours later, she stood before Xorak in the Geneva embassy. Your species requires 7 days to process this logical arrangement. Xorak's sensory clusters pulsed with what Elena had learned to recognize as contempt. Human governance requires consensus, she replied, feigning diplomatic deference. Our cultural adaptability, which your assessment values, necessitates comprehensive evaluation of significant transitions. The alien's manipulator limbs twitched with impatience. Inefficient, but permissible. 7 days are granted. The moment Elena departed, the resistance enacted its most audacious operation yet. While the consortium focused surveillance on world governments, Colonel Chen deployed infiltration teams to 3 consortium vessels using adaptive camouflage reverse-engineered from their own technology. Dr. Patel's Babel virus, which created microsecond vulnerabilities in alien security systems, provided the openings they needed. 17 operatives died securing access, but what they discovered proved worth the sacrifice. Aboard the command vessel, Lieutenant Sofia Rodriguez accessed the consortium's historical database, confirming their worst fears. Earth wasn't the first civilization to receive such an ultimatum. Records detailed 83 previous integrations, planetary populations reduced to specialized labor forces, their resources harvested to fuel consortium expansion. Most disturbing were the psychological profiles. Species that submitted immediately received nominal autonomy. Those that offered limited resistance were systematically broken through targeted elimination of leadership. None had ever mounted sustained opposition. As Rodriguez transmitted the final data packet before detection forced emergency extraction, she added a personal message. They've never faced humans before. Back in the Appalachian bunker, Elena reviewed the intelligence with Earth's shadow cabinet. Government officials who recognized the existential threat and secretly supported resistance efforts. We have one advantage, she told them, projecting consortium tactical analyses. They expect either immediate submission or conventional military response. Their algorithms cannot compute our third option. Which is? Asked Britain's defense minister. Elena's eyes hardened, becoming what they fear most, a species that values freedom over survival. The 7 days passed like a held breath. Across Earth, humans observed solemn ceremonies, lighting candles at dusk, gathering in public squares, sharing meals with loved ones. To consortium observers, these appeared to be resignation rituals. In reality, they were coded signals activating resistance cells worldwide. Elena's transport ascended toward the consortium flagship, sunlight glinting off its crystalline hull. She wore formal diplomatic attire, a slate-gray suit with Earth's unified emblem, and carried nothing but a simple data tablet. The aliens had scanned her thoroughly before departure, finding nothing suspicious. They hadn't thought to check her genetic modifications. Dr. Patel's final gift circulated through her bloodstream. Nanites programmed to interface with consortium systems upon proximity, transmitting the signal that would activate Operation Hydra. The reception chamber aboard the flagship had been reconfigured to resemble a throne room, with Ambassador Xorek elevated above the delegation. 15 consortium species were represented, their varied physiologies arranged in hierarchy. Elena noted the Trilaxian representative positioned far from the center, their dissenting views apparently diminishing their status. Commander Reyes, Sorek's thoughts projected. You return with humanity's acceptance. Elena ascended the speaking platform, aware of weapons trained on her position. I return with humanity's response. She activated her tablet, initiating a worldwide broadcast. Every screen on Earth, every consortium communication device, and every neural frequency carried her message simultaneously. People of Earth and members of the Galactic Consortium, she began, standing tall despite her diminutive stature among the aliens. For 1 year, we have endeavored to forge partnership between our civilizations. Today, that effort ends. Murmurs rippled through the alien delegation as Elena continued, her voice unwavering. Humanity rejects supervision. Humanity rejects resource theft disguised as exchange. Humanity rejects population control. She paused, eyes locking with Xorek's sensory clusters. Instead, we demand equal partnership based on mutual respect. Nothing less. Unacceptable. Xorek's thoughts boomed. Your species requires guidance, too. We've had sufficient guidance, Elena interrupted, causing shocked ripples among the delegates. Interruption was apparently taboo. Your assessment of humanity is fundamentally flawed. You mistake adaptability for primitiveness. You mistake creativity for inefficiency. You mistake our diversity for weakness. She tapped her tablet again, projecting evidence of consortium extraction plans and documents from previous planetary subjugations. We've learned much from your technology, Ambassador. Consider what follows your first lesson in human ingenuity. Elena smiled as alien security drones converged on her position. Now, across Earth, Operation Hydra activated. The Resistance had named it after the mythological creature that grew 2 heads when one was severed, appropriate for what followed. Reverse-engineered viruses paralyzed consortium neural networks while resistance cells struck key installations. The aliens had expected conventional military response against their vessels. Instead, humans targeted command infrastructure, communication nodes, and energy distribution systems, fighting asymmetrically rather than directly. At Geneva's consortium embassy, Dr. Patel personally uploaded the Babel virus into the central communication hub, scrambling translation protocols between consortium species. In orbit, 3 motherships suddenly lost navigational control, their command systems corrupted by algorithms specifically designed to exploit their perfect mathematical predictability. As alien enforcers seized Elena, Sorek's thoughts radiated genuine confusion. This response is irrational. Our technological superiority ensures your defeat. Why choose extinction over integration? Elena's reply came as the first consortium vessel crashed into the Atlantic, sending shockwaves across the global defense network. Because humans don't fear extinction, Ambassador. We fear subjugation. The first month of open conflict reshaped Earth's geography. Consortium orbital strikes reduced Washington, D.C., Beijing, and Moscow to irradiated craters within hours of Elena's declaration. The aliens expected these decapitation strikes to cripple human resistance. They failed to understand that resistance leadership had decentralized months earlier. From his mobile command post in the Ural Mountains, Colonel Chen watched tactical displays as Consortium hunter-killer drones swept across Europe. The machines operated on perfect logical prediction algorithms, anticipating human tactics with mathematical precision. "They're learning our patterns too quickly," his executive officer reported. "Conventional resistance units are being eliminated at 86% efficiency." Chen nodded, unperturbed. "Implement protocol chaos." The order cascaded through resistance channels. Across battlefields, human fighters began behaving in ways that defied self-preservation. In Madrid, resistance cells deliberately revealed their positions to draw drones into prepared electromagnetic pulse traps. In Thailand, fighters used themselves as bait, sacrificing lives to identify firing patterns and response times. "The casualties are significant," the XO noted, voice strained. "Necessary," Chen replied, though his eyes revealed the weight of each decision. "The consortium relies on behavioral prediction. We must demonstrate that humans cannot be predicted." The resistance's greatest advantage emerged unexpectedly. The consortium had evolved beyond violence among its own kind. Their battle algorithms were designed to fight logically, overlooking the human capacity for sacrificial tactics. In the ruins of Cairo, Fatima al-Zahawi's cyber warfare team achieved their greatest victory. Using parts salvaged from destroyed consortium drones, they constructed a quantum transmitter that could penetrate alien communication frequencies. The Whisper campaign began, transmitting tailored disinformation to individual consortium units, creating paranoia and confusion. Meanwhile, Dr. Patel perfected the Babel virus from a hidden laboratory beneath Antarctica. The virus created cascading translation errors between consortium species, exploiting their reliance on perfect communication. When deployed against the Singapore Command Center, it resulted in Vordak security forces firing on Marin technicians, mistaking maintenance protocols for sabotage. Elena, having escaped consortium custody during the chaos of Operation Hydra, now coordinated diplomatic initiatives from a constantly moving location. Her most promising contact was Enkst, a Tralaxian scientist who had reached out through encrypted channels. "Your resistance confounds consortium predictive models," the alien communicated. "The Vordax faction demands immediate planetary sterilization, but others question this approach." The empathic Marin particularly find the mathematical justification disturbing. Elena seized the opportunity, establishing back-channel communications with moderate consortium factions. She shared selectively edited footage of human civilians protecting alien researchers during attacks, demonstrating that humanity's capacity for violence was matched by capacity for compassion. The turning point came during the Battle of the Ural Mountains. Consortium forces surrounded the resistance headquarters with overwhelming firepower. Instead of the expected last stand, they encountered an emptied facility. Local civilians had evacuated the fighters through a network of ancient mining tunnels hours earlier. As consortium commanders pondered this development, their sensors detected movement, thousands of unarmed humans forming a ring around their position, holding nothing but candles. The aliens, programmed to neutralize armed combatants, found their response algorithms paralyzed by this unanticipated scenario. In the 23-minute delay while Consortium Command debated the appropriate response, the entire resistance leadership escaped. That night, across occupied territories, a new graffiti symbol appeared, a phoenix rising from Earth's ashes. Below it, a message in Consortium standard language. "Your math is incomplete. You forgot to calculate human spirit." 3 months into the war, the consortium faced a scenario unprecedented in its 15-millennium expansion. Strategic failure. Supply vessels carrying replacement components for damaged warships disappeared in transit. Planetary outposts went silent. Resource extraction operations faced constant sabotage. Most concerning were the psychological effects on consortium forces. Units began reporting anomalous sensory data, experiencing what humans called paranoia. In the consortium high command chamber, Supreme Commander Vorkesh of the Vordax faction addressed the assembled leadership, his armored exoskeleton clicking with agitation. "This resistance is mathematically impossible," he insisted. "Human technology is primitive. Their weapons are ineffective against our defenses. Yet our casualty rate increases exponentially." Ambassador Xoric's sensory clusters dimmed. "The assessment error appears fundamental. We evaluated their technology, not their methodology." The classified tactical briefing displayed holographically before them told a disturbing story. Human resistance forces avoided direct engagement entirely, instead targeting infrastructure and support systems. Consortium battle doctrine, optimized over millennia of conflict with technologically comparable civilizations, had no protocols for enemies who refused to fight according to recognized parameters. Their tactics violate established warfare principles, Vorkesh complained. They sacrifice strategic positions to damage logistical networks. They accept casualty rates that would trigger immediate surrender in rational species. Elder Marin, representing the empathic minority faction, extended sensory tendrils. "Perhaps we should reconsider." "Sterilization remains the only logical response," Vorkesh interrupted. "I require authorization for planetary cleansing protocols." The chamber erupted in multi-species debate, their unified purpose fracturing visibly. Meanwhile, humanity's resistance entered a new phase. Colonel Chen's forces shifted from defensive operations to targeted strikes against consortium supply lines. The aliens' perfect efficiency had become their greatest vulnerability. Their logistics chains contained no redundancy, no contingency for sustained disruption. From a commandeered consortium medical facility in the Alps, Dr. Patil unleashed his masterpiece, neurological viruses designed to exploit the aliens' neural interfaces. These sophisticated infections created no obvious symptoms. They simply altered perception subtly, making consortium forces see threats where none existed and miss actual human activities. The resistance intercepted consortium communications, revealing the growing internal conflict between the dominant Vordax faction, demanding Earth's sterilization, and the minority Trilaxian and Marin factions, advocating for reassessment. Elena, coordinating operations from a nuclear submarine beneath the Pacific, recognized the opportunity. Working with Engstlek and other sympathetic aliens, she compiled intelligence on consortium strategic vulnerabilities, particularly their centralized command structure that proved catastrophically inflexible against human asymmetric warfare. "They expected us to fight like them," she told her advisory council. "Their entire military doctrine assumes enemies will target obvious military objectives, following recognizable patterns. The most devastating human operation targeted the consortium's orbital command nexus. Rather than attacking the heavily defended station directly, resistance hackers infiltrated its environmental systems, subtly altering atmospheric composition to increase oxygen levels by 2%. When consortium technicians detected the anomaly, they followed standard protocols, running diagnostics on oxygen sensors rather than considering the possibility of intentional sabotage for non-obvious purposes. 3 days later, when an electrical spark ignited the oxygen-enriched atmosphere, the resulting fire spread throughout the station before containment measures activated. The consortium had never encountered an enemy that would sacrifice hundreds of operatives over months to alter oxygen levels by just enough to create fire vulnerability without triggering automated warnings. As fires raged through the command nexus, Vorkesh transmitted an emergency broadcast to all consortium forces. "Implement Directive Omega. Planetary sterilization authorized." The message reached resistance intelligence networks almost instantly. Elena's response was not panic but grim satisfaction. "They've made their final mistake. Now we show them what humans do when truly threatened." With sterilization protocols authorized, the consortium assembled its planet killer fleet, 7 massive vessels designed to render planetary surfaces uninhabitable. They positioned themselves at strategic points around Earth's orbit, preparing gravitic weapons capable of triggering catastrophic tectonic instability. Vorkesh transmitted the final warning: surrender within 6 hours or face extinction. Deep in the Atlantic Ocean, aboard the nuclear submarine Poseidon, Alina gathered Earth's shadow cabinet, the plan they had prepared since the beginning. Operation Cassandra was now their only option. The Vordaks believe we will surrender when faced with extinction, she told the grim-faced leaders. They fundamentally misunderstand what humans become when cornered. Dr. Patel, his once immaculate appearance now haggard from months of non-stop work, activated the quantum transmitter. We're ready. Alina nodded. Transmit to all consortium frequencies simultaneously. Let them hear humanity's final message. The transmission bypassed consortium communication protocols using algorithms developed from their own technology. Rather than targeting military channels, it reached every member species directly, from ship commanders to civilian populations across 37 worlds. The message began with humanity's history of warfare. 5,000 years of conflict compressed into a devastating visual narrative. Ancient armies clashing on battlefields. Medieval sieges where defenders fought to the last child. Revolutionary forces defeating superior imperial powers. Guerrilla fighters outlasting conventional armies. Nuclear standoffs where nations prepared for mutual annihilation rather than submission. This is not propaganda, Alina's voice explained. This is not exaggeration. This is human history, the evolution of warfare written by a species that has been killing itself since we first sharpened sticks. The transmission shifted to analysis of consortium military capabilities, detailing weaknesses humans had identified in just months of conflict. Vulnerable power distribution nodes in Vordak's homeworld defense systems. Atmospheric composition vulnerabilities in marine orbital habitats. Critical resource dependencies in 17-member species survival infrastructure. Most devastating was Dr. Patel's comprehensive breakdown of consortium neural network architecture, revealing how the unified communication system connecting all member species contained catastrophic vulnerability to human-style asymmetric disruption. We spent 3 months learning how your civilization functions, Alina continued. We could have spent this time developing biological agents specifically tailored to each species' genetic structure. We could have deployed quantum viruses to collapse your entire neural network. We could have targeted civilian populations instead of military assets. The message concluded with surveillance footage from consortium command deliberations, evidence of their intent to colonize Earth regardless of human cooperation. Understand this truth. Alina's voice resonated across galaxies. Humans don't fight to win. We fight to survive. And we've been practicing longer than your consortium has existed. Obliteration was your choice. Coexistence remains ours. The transmission ended with coordinates for neutral territory negotiation and 3 days of silence. When the response came, it wasn't from Vorkesh, but from the consortium's Supreme Council itself. The Planet Killer fleet withdrew to the outer solar system. A new delegation arrived, representatives from all 37 species, not just the dominant factions. Their message was simple. The terms of alliance require reconsideration. In the treaty ceremony broadcast across Earth and to thousands of worlds, Alina signed the document not as humanity's representative, but as equal partner in a transformed galactic community. Earth became classified as the first Category X civilization, technologically developing but psychologically indomitable. As the ceremony concluded, a Marin elder approached Alina privately. Other subjugated worlds watch Earth with great interest. You have done something unprecedented. What's that? Alina asked. You have taught the teachers, the elder replied. The consortium will never be the same.